Let me see here. The only real restriction we include is that our stories lean towards heroism. Yes! Hopefully you guys are out there being heroes in your games, and when you put the game away, lean towards heroism in real life. This is a review about the Wolves of Langston by Obvious Mimic. This is a solo Dungeons & Dragons adventure that you can complete, and I just finished this and wanted to give my thoughts on it. You don't always have a group around to get together to play a Dungeons & Dragons adventure, and so it's kind of nice to have something like this around that you can complete on your own to give yourself a little taste of adventure. And I just want to share a couple of feelings I had about it since I just finished it today. First of all, I wanted to talk about the character I created. On the front of here, it says, a murder mystery solo adventure where you take your own path and uncover Langston's shadowy killer. Being that it was a solo adventure, I, first of all, was thinking about maybe just a fighter to get in there and what would work the best with that. But I busted out the player's handbook here and tried to think about what would be the best character for me to create for this adventure. First of all, I really don't like the exotic races. I know everybody likes to be a dragonborn paladin. I kind of like to be a little more plain. And so I went with the human. I know you might think that's a little bit boring, but the one thing that I do like about the human is if you flip the page here, it says that the human is just kind of a jack of all trades, and you get an increase of each ability score by 1. I kind of like that, bumping out everything up by 1, just to give me a little bit of an edge in the adventure. Now, when it came time to decide a class, I know what you're going to think, that this is the lamest class, and I should not have picked this one. But if you turn to page 89 here, you will see that I chose the Ranger. The Ranger is not the most popular class of hero in Dungeons & Dragons, I admit. But when I looked through here and I saw Independent Adventurer, I thought, perfect. That's the kind of person I'm looking for this. Since it's a solo adventure, I thought an independent adventurer would be just perfect. So I decided on the Ranger, and when I turned the page here to build the Ranger, I noticed here the quick build section, and I kind of just followed this. It recommended using the Outlander as your background, which I did choose. The Outlander background gives me a bonus for athletics and survival on my character sheet. And with the Ranger class, I was also able to pick investigation, nature, and stealth. So you can see here I got a little bonus to each one of those. The quick build recommended putting your highest roll in dexterity, and I didn't choose the standard rolls for this. I rolled the dice for all of these, and these numbers reflect a 1 increase that is granted to me by being a human. So each of these were rolled 1 less. And so you can probably see here my human Ranger is very nimble, has a good amount of strength and intelligence and wisdom, but he's not the most likable guy around. I rolled an 8 for this. The human race gave me a +1 and a 9. So he's not the most likable guy, and he's not the most hardy despite all of his time out in the wilderness. A couple things you might notice on here, level 2 and experience points. That's just because I completed the adventure and was able to level this character up. When I decided on his background, I rolled the dice for these, and so these were all just random rolls. That he cares more for animals. He loves the natural world, and an injury to the wilderness and his home is an injury to himself. And he is slow to trust members of other races and tribes and societies. I tried really hard to role play this character in the adventure according to how he turned out on the sheet here. Even though I wanted to do something different or make a different choice, I tried really hard to make the decisions that Grim Tallstag would have made given the situation. That he's an animal lover, that he's slow to trust people, and that he loves nature and loves the wilderness. I was able to choose common and one other language. And with the Outlander background, is able to choose another language. And I just picked Sylvan because I thought it would be kind of cool to speak with Fey creatures. And then the equipment that was granted to him, and some of the information from his class that was granted as well. So with that said, that's kind of the hero that I went through this adventure with. Now time for the review of this adventure. First of all, I do want to say that in the book, they tell you that you can use any class, any character would be successful at completing this adventure. And I will say that as I went through it, some of the equipment and the skills and things I chose for my character were definitely beneficial and helped me out. But there were other times when I wished I would have had other things that I didn't have with me. So I do think they've designed the adventure to use any character or class, and you bring them into the story, and they're going to find a benefit somewhere in the story. For example, Grim Tallstag didn't thrive in every situation, but there were situations when he did really well that I was glad that I had chosen some of the traits and the equipment because he did really well in those given situations. Now, the story. I felt like the story was very good and very entertaining. It was not hard to role play my character because there were many situations where I was given a situation where, and again, I'm going to try really hard not to spoil anything if you haven't played this yet, to trust people or not trust people. And because Grim Tallstag's a little mistrusting of humans, he had a hard time trusting people right away. So there was a lot of opportunities to role play the character. I completed this adventure in probably 4 to 5 sessions that were anywhere from half an hour to 45 minutes. And if you wanted to complete it all in one sitting, you probably could. It would probably take you maybe around 3 hours or so, depending on how fast you read and how fast you make your decisions. For me, I thought out the decisions sometimes. If I had to make a quick decision, I would make a quick decision. If I had time to think about it and analyze it, I would do so. But you probably could do it in one sitting, but it would take you probably a good 3 hours or so to get through the whole thing. The book is divided up into chapters, so there is good stopping points where you'll get to the end of a situation, and you can decide to stop for a little bit or continue with the adventure. So that was kind of nice that it was broken up a little bit. In the book here at the beginning, and we'll kind of go through a little bit of the intro to this, it tells you that it's going to give you opportunities to make a choice. It was nice because you felt like you were making your own decisions, but basically you had one of 4 options when you came to the end of an excerpt. It led you to another section where you just read on, or it gave you a choice, and I found most of them were the choices between 2 things. I did see as high as I think 4 or 5 decisions at one point. So there are options and opportunities for you to make a choice between more than just 2 things. There was places where you had 3 choices, 4 choices, and I think maybe even 5 at one point. There were combat encounters, there were skill checks, so you got to use some of your skills here. I won't tell you which ones were the best to have, but I will say that I had some that were helpful and some that were not helpful. So again, just play to your strengths when you play the adventure. So no, it's not like a real Dungeons and Dragons session where you can sit down and fully make your own decisions. The book does limit you a little bit as far as what you can do, and it has to do that because it can't be open-ended when you're playing alone. Otherwise, the book would be hundreds and hundreds of pages long. But you did feel like that your choices were meaningful and that they serve some kind of purpose. It did seem like although you could check different avenues, it seemed like eventually they maybe all came back to the same place. I'm not sure if that's the case. It just seemed that way. What I'm going to do with this adventure next is I'm going to have my son create a character and play through it, and I'm just going to be kind of like a DM and read the sections while he makes the decisions and just see what choices he makes and see if he ends up at the same place that I ended up at. Now, as far as the book is concerned, inside they have this lovely map on the front cover on the inside here. It doesn't mean too much right now when you look at it until you start going through the story, and then you kind of learn about some of these several areas and where you're adventuring around here. And so I remember seeing this map, and as I got halfway through it, I went back and looked at this And it was nice then because you were kind of seeing some of the places that you were going in the adventure. So it's kind of nice to have that map there. There's a quick introduction here that talks about what the purpose of the book is, the goal, what you'll need to play, which is basically just a character, a 5e character, a dice in this book is really all you need. And obviously a pencil and eraser if you want to change things on your character sheet. It does say about you, and we kind of went through this section at the beginning here. I absolutely love this, how it talks about they lean towards heroism. We should always lean toward heroism. Down here it says that you can play a character of levels 1 to 4. My character was brand new, and so Grim was level 1. And it does say that level 1 would be challenging. Level 4 would be very easy to get through the adventure. I found that my level 1 character actually did really well, and I don't know if I just got lucky. When I went through with my dice rolls, I have to say there were several skill checks I failed on, and I really wanted to, being I was playing by myself, I really wanted to just turn and look and see what it was, and I thought, no, that's what I rolled. I'm gonna read on and with the failed skill check. But the combat encounters I didn't find to be too challenging. Again, maybe I was lucky with my dice rolls. And that made it a little bit easier. But I was able to get through just fine with a first level character. So don't be intimidated when they say a first level character will be challenging. It wasn't too bad. As you turn the page here, it talks about, and again here it talks about the different choices you'll have. This is very straightforward in the book as far as making a decision to go one way or the other. Tells you where to turn to, or if you have some kind of a skill check. Now, these aren't actual excerpts taken from the book. These are just examples. So they might tell you to roll a strength athletics check. And if you pass, you go to this. And if you fail, you go to this one. And again, that was very straightforward in the book. There wasn't any question as to what they wanted you to do with that. Here they talk about combat encounters and how to handle those. Again, the combat encounters are pretty straightforward, and it's the same procedure. You roll initiative, and you roll for the enemy, and you roll for yourself, depending on your initiative order. And again, that seemed pretty straightforward. The thing that I liked about this adventure is although there were combat encounters, it wasn't focused on those. It says on the front here that it is a murder mystery, and so that's exactly what it is. You're kind of going through trying to, something's going on in Langston, and you're in there trying to figure out what happened and how you can help this town out. So I really enjoyed that, playing solo, to get through and to kind of analyze the clues and what you're finding and who you're talking to, all coming to a head at the very end of the adventure. It was very entertaining for me. But again, it wasn't short on combat encounters, but that wasn't really the focus of the adventure, was combat. Overall, how did I feel about this? I really enjoyed this. Again, you don't always have a group around to get together for Dungeons and Dragons adventure, and so if you find yourself in that situation, you can pick this book up from Obvious Mimic. I think it's about 200 pages or so. One thing that I will point out that I noticed a little way through the book, and maybe it does mention this in there, I can't remember or not, but there is a general store at the back of the book here. And it kind of gives you a little bit of flavor text here as you walk into the store, and then some things you'll find in there. And it does tell you in the book that you can visit the general store in between, just when it would make sense. So if you're going to travel to talk to somebody or go through the town, you could stop at the general store if you want to. Now, is any of this stuff going to help you in the adventure? Maybe some of it will, maybe it won't. I'm going to leave that for you to kind of figure out, but this is available to you if you want to go here and buy some stuff. You will get a little bit of gold through the adventure. You might start out with some gold and be able to go here and pick up a couple of these things to help you along the way. But again, I did very much enjoy this. It left me in suspense sometimes. It was very dramatic, and you kind of think you have it figured out, and then you get some other clue or information, and the whole thing changes. And through the whole book, I got to the very end and still wasn't really sure about what was going on, and just kind of made decisions and found my way to the end. And it was very, very entertaining, a very well-written story. And again, not super combat focused, although there were combat encounters. You did have that opportunity, but it was more of trying to figure out what was going on, following the clues, passing the skill checks. And even if you didn't pass the skill checks, you still had opportunities to uncover information and get clues that would lead you towards the end of the scenario. So if this is something you're interested in, it might be not a bad idea to pick this up from Obvious Mimic. They also just completed another Kickstarter with another solo adventure called The Crystals of Zeleth. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Z''Leth. That's supposed to be coming out in the next couple of months. If you missed the Kickstarter, I'm sure you'll be able to pick that up from their website in a couple of months. This is really nice to have around. If your group's not available, you can just start rifling through this and you can still send a character on an adventure, get some treasure, get some experience points to level your character up a little bit. And it can even be used as a side scenario in a campaign. If you want to take one person and send them off on this adventure really quick and then bring them back to the campaign, it can be used for that as well. Again, The Wolves of Langston by Obvious Mimic solo adventure, a lot of fun. Hey guys, take care, be heroes in your games, and when that game gets put away, be a hero in real life. Like it says in the book, lean towards heroism always. Take care.